Welcome to Mental Junk Food, and this is CB Smallwood, and you're at the place where we talk about all things comics, sci-fi, horror, fantasy, pop culture, and everything in between. And today we're going to be talking about Joe Bob Briggs and The Last Drive-In. And let me go ahead and fill you in on who exactly Joe Bob Briggs is and what the deal is with The Last Drive-In. Well, first of all, Joe Bob Briggs, he's a movie critic of sorts who began his writing career at Texas Monthly and the Dallas Times-Herald. Now, while he was a movie reviewer at the Herald, he created the humorous persona of Joe Bob Briggs to review exploitation films, cult classics, a lot of B-movie horror films, a lot of stuff dealing with the horror genre in general, and a lot of stuff that played in the drive-in cinemas or drive-in, movie theaters. And for people that don't know what kind of stuff played in the drive-ins back in the 60s and 70s, it was lots of grindhouse stuff, a lot of stuff that wasn't necessarily what would be considered mainstream. And Joe Bob Briggs was the type of guy who really appreciated what these movies had to offer, and nobody else was really writing about these movies or talking about these movies. So he took it upon himself to be that guy who is going to talk about them and review them. And we're in debt to him ever since. So that is Joe Bob Briggs. Now, that's how he got his start as a movie critic. But from there, he eventually landed a spot on the Movie Channel and a couple other channels where they would play a horror movie. And in between the horror movie, he would pop in and give his thoughts about the movie, give you facts about the movie, background information. Sometimes he would have special guests, people that did the special effects in the movie, or actors, directors. Other times he would give you what was called the drive-in totals, which is a really fun little bit. For example, if he was talking about the Friday the 13th movies, he would talk about how many boobs were featured in that particular movie, how many stabbings, how many decapitations, and so forth and so on. I mean, he get into the really nitty gritty of it. So that is Joe Bob Briggs, and I guess most people remember him from TNT's Monster Vision, which he took over and did a heck of a job on that. And what time he was doing that, he was really hamstringed. His hands were tied behind his back between what movies he could actually show, because TNT only had the rights to certain films. So he made the best of it. It was a great show. I kind of felt like that show was kind of short-lived. So now you know who Joe Bob Briggs is and what his deal is, right? So let's talk about The Last Drive-In. What's the deal with this? Well, fans have been wanting Joe Bob Briggs to come back for a while, and there have been rumors that he might actually be getting a new series back, a regular show somewhere. And fans were really pushing for it, and they finally got their wish, sort of. What ended up happening is there's a streaming service called Shudder, which does all things horror. Horror movies, horror documentaries, horror TV shows, you name it. They do horror. That's what Shudder does. And it was announced that Shudder will be hosting Joe Bob Briggs' The Last Drive-In, the final drive-in. There will be no other drive-ins after this, as far as when it comes to Joe Bob Briggs. And that's a bit of a sad announcement, but it's also it's bittersweet, because you're happy to see Joe Bob Briggs back again, but it's going to be for one last time, it sounds like. And adding to that, I could be wrong about this. I believe Joe Bob Briggs is 74 right now. He was born in 1953. So no, I think that would make him. That may make him 65. I could be wrong on that, but he's up in his years just a little bit. Nothing wrong with that. Not to get into any ageism, but I'm just saying that Joe Bob, at this point in his life, maybe he's not up to doing the drive-ins no more. I don't know. So anyway, long story short, he had a deal on Shudder, and it was supposed to start last night, which was, well, what is today's date? Okay, so it was Friday the 13th was when it was supposed to start, and I think it was supposed to start around 9 o'clock. I could be wrong on that. So I CB Smallwood. I went up to a friend's house, Will Avenger, and our buddy Ryan was there, and so we're all there at his house, and he has his Xbox fired up. He's got the Roku on it or whatever, and we're getting ready to watch Shudder, and lo and behold, Shudder's not working. Shudder is malfunctioning, and apparently we were not the only ones experiencing this. This was something that was happening all over planet Earth, I guess, or all across the U.S. Who knows? People just could not get access to Shudder, or they could not get access to Joe Bob Briggs' Last Drive-In, which was supposed to be on Shudder. And I think, honestly, Shudder, that the people at Shudder did not really know what they was getting themselves into and the type of demand that there is for Joe Bob Briggs. And so I think they kind of underestimated how many people would actually sign up for their free 7-week trial or 7-day trial. I think it's a 7-day trial for Shudder. And I think they underestimated how many people would do that just to watch this Joe Bob Briggs' last marathon. And I forgot to mention that, by the way. It's a 24-hour marathon. It's going to be anywhere from like 13 plus movies that he's going to show. So we sat there last night and we was waiting for it to buffer in, or however you want to put it. And we were trying to do different things, like maybe like broadcast it from the phone using Chromecast. And I mean, we were brainstorming different stuff. And what we ended up doing is just watching YouTube videos of just wacky stuff that's on YouTube. You know, like Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared. You should check that out, by the way. That's a good little series. But, watching a lot of oddball stuff on YouTube and music videos. And then eventually just everybody just kind of jammed a little bit, playing songs and stuff like that. Because me and Will Avenger and Ryan were all musicians and stuff like that. And they was playing me some of the songs they came up with. And so that's kind of what it turned into. But eventually, getting later into the night, we were able to start watching a little bit of the Joe Bob Briggs' marathon, and the thing we got to watch was Rabbit, and we got to watch a bit of The Prowler, which came after that. And poor Ryan, he had to tap out. He had a long day before him, and so it caught up to him, and so he left around 2 or 3, and I ended up leaving sometime around 6 in the morning, I believe. I could be wrong on that, but yeah, that was the big Shudder experience. So I imagine there's a lot of you that had a similar experience where you just could not get on Shudder. A lot of people, I think, gave up. Probably about half the people that really wanted to watch Joe Bob Briggs' last marathon said screw it and gave up after the first few hours. And I can't say I can't blame them, So I guess this video is just really about, how Shudder dropped the ball and how they underestimated the demand for Joe Bob Briggs. And I'm kind of curious how they're going to make amends for this, how they're going to fix this or make this right with people. Are they going to do something special, or is this going to be taped and people can watch it later? Which I assume that they'll probably end up doing that, where you can watch a taped replay of it or something. Taped, pre-recording. Why am I saying taped? I guess I got Joe Bob on the brain. I'm going old school. Back when people used to record shows on VHS tape. Kind of reminds me back in the days of me watching WCW on TNT, and then I would put a tape in the VCR, and I got really meticulous with it too, because after a match got done playing and it went to commercial, I would hit pause so that way I wouldn't get any of the commercials recorded, and then I'd unpause it, and then I did the whole show like that, But I don't have that many WCW VHS tapes, by the way, from doing that. I only probably got about 10, because, it was very time consuming. You had to really be on your A game to do it like that. So anyway, moving away from that, my question is, I'm going to end this video. So did any of you watch the Joe Bob Briggs' Last Drive-In? Are you watching it now if it's still playing? What are your thoughts? Was you able to get on it? Did you even get to see any of it? Please share any Joe Bob Briggs' memories, any memories of watching it, on TNT, Monster Vision, or on the movie channel, what have you, down in the comment section down below. I'd like to hear what your all's thoughts are, and I usually say this, and I mean it every time I say it, that many of you are far more articulate and well-spoken and have a more awesome command of the English language and the vocabulary than I do. So I really enjoy reading your comments, and I think everybody else that are passive viewers enjoy reading your comments as well. So if you have anything to say, please leave it in the comment section down below. Please remember to hit that like button. And if you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe, because I'm trying to get 1,000 subscribers. I'm desperate for it. I gotta have my 1,000 subscribers. It's a goal. I gotta have goals for myself, and that's my big goal right now, is 1,000. So if you can help get me there, I'd really appreciate it. As always, this is scifi, and I will see you in the next video.